Our next two bones are the clavicle and scapula. So what we have to realize is that we will always be looking at right-handed or right side of the body. None of the bones that you will get will ever be on the left-hand side. So all diagrams are right-sided bones. All the bones of your quizzes will be right-sided bones. So this is the right scapula. So it sits here, kind of like in your back. So if you were to take your hand and put it on the back of your shoulder, you'd feel this large kind of spine of the scapula. So this is the back of the scapula, and then this would be the front of the scapula. There's no spine there. It's just kind of relatively flat. So this is the back side. So if we're looking at the back of the scapula, my thumb over here is on the medial side, and my pinky finger over here is on the lateral side. So we'll start from kind of the shoulder area. So your shoulder joint is made up of a number of different bones that kind of come together. Number 5 is the acromion. Number 4 is the coracoid process, which means crow's beak. That's why it kind of looks like a beak. Number 7 is the glenoid cavity. That's where your humerus head would sit. There's a little bump just below the glenoid cavity, number 13. That's a tubercle. So it's the infraglenoid tubercle. Infra means below, so it's below the glenoid. So infraglenoid tubercle. Number 9 is the spine of the scapula. And then we have a fossa above and below the spine of the scapula. Above the spine of the scapula is supraspinous fossa. So it's a basin-like depression above the spine of the scapula, supraspinous fossa, number 8. Number 11 is a fossa below the spine, so it's the infraspinous fossa. Number 10 is the medial part of the scapula, so number 10 is the medial border. And then we have a border that runs along the lateral side, number 2, which is the lateral border of the scapula. We have angles. We have one angle down here at the bottom, and then we have another angle up here at the top. Number 3, and they kind of make points at the top and the bottom. So we have superior and inferior borders. So number 3 is a superior border, and number 1 is the inferior border. Okay, so inferior border, number 1, and number 3 is superior border. I'm sorry, angle. I might have misspoken. Those are angles. Number 3 is a superior angle, and number 1 is a inferior angle. We do have a border, and the border up here at 14 is the superior border. And then we have a notch in the bone, and that's a scapular notch. Now we're going to look at the clavicle. And the clavicle would basically sit kind of right along the acromion. Okay, so the 5 and the 2 would kind of line up. So number 2 is the acromion end. It's the flat end. And then we have an end that sits on the top of your sternum, that kind of bump at the top of your rib cage. So number 3 is the sternal end. Then we have a little tubercle there, little bony protrusion, number 1. That's the conoid tubercle. Okay, so sternal end is basically a round end. Conoid tubercle, and then number 2 is the acromion end.